All right, welcome back to the second half of the show. Well, the second segment. Well, I guess it is the second half of the show because it's 2 hours and we already had the first segment. So this is the second segment of the show. We are back with Girl Talk. I know you can't wait to get into this. For those of you who have been following this show, we are on the third question. And Miss Page, what is your question?
It is my question is why your ex-girlfriend is most likely somebody else's side chick. And it came about I was watching some different things that had happened in the happened recently. One was where this young man, well, he's a young man, I guess he was a rapper out of Chicago actually, and he was killed. And the let me see. So the girlfriend, the girl he was with at the time when he got killed, had just broken up with her boyfriend of 3 years, who she was living with a week prior. So, and so of course the boyfriend broke into the house and got into the altercation with the rapper guy, and then, um, sadly he killed him, and now he's the so the guy is dead, the rapper guy is dead, the young man is now in jail, he turned himself in jail, and so now you got the girl. So it's been around social media where people have been talking, dang, in a week's time he got replaced, and so I it made me, so then somebody had put this topic up about when your ex-girlfriend is most likely somebody's side chick, and it made me start thinking, like, hmm, did she replace him within a week and she met this, or did she already know the rapper dude? You know what I'm saying? Did she
So that's
already know?
yeah, that's that question where the next person, so they break up and then one person moves on like super quick, and you like,
Yes.
how the heck did you get that close to
Yeah.
somebody that quick?
Yeah. And that's, so it made me start thinking, like, how quick is too quick, and and was she already secretly sneaking, or like, how did she move on to so quick? And where the old boy, her ex-boy, she had just broken up with him, had been with him for 3 years, reportedly. I think he lost his job, and I think they got in an altercation, and I don't know if he hit her or whatever. But so did she go out or get on social media? What happened? How she met somebody, and within a week's time, he in her bed. Old boy breaks into the house that they was living in together, and then an altercation ensued. So, it's like, you already know your ex was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you knew he was crazy. So you put somebody else in the situation, or they put themselves in the situation, and or were they already in the situation? Nobody just,
Mm.
so it just made me say, you know what, let's talk about that. That's a topic,
Nicole,
so.
what you think about that?
Mm. You know what? We were talking about this today in my Facebook group, Dat Truth, and we were all like, who the heck is Trouble? That's the name of the rapper that
Yep.
was killed.
Yep. That's
He's out
exactly.
of Atlanta. Yep. He's out of Atlanta.
I thought he
So
was
yes, the
from.
story has been kind of, he
Is he
might
out of?
be. I could be wrong because I have
He
never
was
heard
in
of
a.
him.
I think he was in Atlanta when it happened, but I thought he was from Chicago, and I could be wrong. He could be
He
from
very
Atlanta.
well could. He probably is, because I don't know nothing about him. He probably is
Yeah.
from
So
Chicago.
yeah, but you know what though, he may be out of Atlanta. I think when it happened, he was in Atlanta because
Uh,
all these different people were talking about, because he had not long, a couple years ago, got out of jail or something like that. So
um,
yeah.
maybe he's been moving around.
Yeah.
You know what? I kind of see both sides of this coin. I feel like I've been in both sides of this coin.
Hmm.
In terms of, I mean, I know guys. I have a lot of guy friends, like I was kind of saying earlier, or the other segment. Whereas I know men, usually it's men, but it can be a woman too. When you have a bad breakup, sometimes the first thing people are grabbing for is a distraction, which
Hmm.
is, it could be just a body. It's not like you're trying to get with this next person. It's, I got to get over this person. So now like we always say, now I have to get under this person.
Right.
So, I mean, to me, men operate like this almost all the time in a breakup.
All the time.
Even
Yeah.
if they're in love with the girl, they will quickly have sex literally with someone else. Like, let's say the girlfriend leaves the house at 12. I know men that will have another girl in their bed by 3 p.m., like less than 3 hours later.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it doesn't, like a new chick. It doesn't, let's say the girlfriend left them. Their first mind is, fuck her, I can get somebody else. Now, of course, they're hurting inside, really, but they do use other women as tools to get over someone that they love. And in the same instance, a woman can really do the same thing. So I've heard this lady was a stripper. I don't know. But if she was, I mean, it's really easy to meet a customer in your club that night.
Right. She's a stripper.
If she's a stripper, sounds like the ex-boyfriend that killed this guy was abusive. So she may have checked out on this relationship really a long time ago. And maybe, he finally got out the house a week ago, but perhaps she was already checked out. Or perhaps, maybe she already had a relationship with this trouble man. Maybe she knew him from the strip club or from the streets. I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering,
it wasn't so far-fetched, because people were like, how is she sleeping with another man so soon? For me, it wasn't super far-fetched, because I don't know, when she checked out emotionally from that other relationship.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I guess, too, how I look at it, too, I look at, both ways, because I've seen, that whole saying, the best way to get over somebody is get under somebody, right? Yep. And so again, most of the time we see men do it much quicker. I mean, like you said, the same day, like she gone, an hour later, they on the phone, texting somebody, trying to get them over there or whatever. But, as a mother who has boys, and I, like, again, I know that women do it, but I know that men do it. I'm sorry. I know that men do it. And most of the time they do it more, much more quicker than women. But I guess in my mind, I sort of always am looking at the aspect of, don't put somebody in your troubled mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't bring somebody in your troubled mess. Like, yeah. So like, whether it's a week later or 3 days later, you got a fool. You know what I'm saying? And so now this man had lost his life, and he could have been the side guy, right? He could have been
for all we know. Maybe he was, because he had a girlfriend. So she was a side. He had a whole girlfriend.
Oh, see, I didn't even know he had a girlfriend.
This white girl. Yep, he has a white girl. She's been posting all day.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to go check that out. But
she's a lawyer.
So she was a lawyer too?
Yes, his girlfriend is a white lawyer. Her name Nicole. Her name is Nicole.
Oh, but then again, like, trouble will find you. And so, and then look, I forgot what her name was. What was her name? I don't know if it's her. Because
she did release a statement today, though, about she's going to tell her side of the story, but I don't know.
You're right, exactly. But they were talking about her name, because they was like, if you got a name like Trouble, and then you got a name like whatever, I can't remember what her name was. They were like, y'all need never to intertwine. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't nothing good gonna come out of that. Whatever. But yeah, so I guess in my mind, I'm like, okay, we know that part of it, but just to put somebody in that kind of mess, like, I remember a long time ago dating somebody, and I remember seeing this guy. I mean, he was whooping on this woman, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just all hysterical, like, you got to do something. I'm telling my guy he got to do something, right? And he was like, and he was a ex-police officer, and I was like, you got to do something. Oh my God. And I was just like, and he was just so like calm about it that it pissed me off. And I was like, and he was like, she ain't gonna do nothing but go back with him. And I was like, what? And so I'm snapping, and I was like, basically in so many words, we ain't gonna be talking if you don't do something. And I really shouldn't, later you think about, like, don't put somebody in that position. But he was a big guy too. So he pulls up and he yells out the window, hey, like, yell out the window to them about whatever. And I'll never forget this. The woman, she turned around and snapped off on him. Like, she turned around, not the dude. The dude didn't even have to, and literally they at the corner store, in front of the corner store, and he ringing her around and everything like that.
Wow.
And she basically was like, mind your MF business, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I was in so much shock. Like, and I'm not saying everybody is in that situation and everybody don't want help. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, I was in so much shock because I'm going off on him, and he just looked at me and he was like, and I was like, I was like, I could have got him. What if I could have got him? Later as you get older, I was in my 20s at the time. So later as you get older, you're like, man, I could have really put him in some danger.
Yep.
Or I could have, but and so I, again, now being a mother and having, males, very strong young men in my life, I think about all those things. I think about, because I've taught them to be, if you see a woman or you see some, but you have to really say, also use your judgment, because I've seen it more than once where the woman has come back at the person who was trying to help her. And so, I don't, and of course, I've also seen it where somebody was very thankful that somebody did help her. But, I've probably seen it more the opposite way, and stuff. So, yeah. So, but I feel bad that whatever his situation is, that he lost his life because she was with a fool that she knew was a fool and had only been gone a week. And, so yeah.
That reminds me of the story with my second stalker. And Paige, I think I met you shortly after that whole situation, but I knew Danny was crazy as hell. And he was a football player, so he was a big dude. And so when I started trying to leave him alone, that was actually the first thing on my mind was I cannot date right now. Even though I'm not with him, I done told him it's over. He not accepting it well. And I already knew if I brought somebody else into that situation, I was endangering their life for real, because that was just going to be a wrap. Anybody that comes to church, that follows you to church and sits in the pew next to you and your kids on the other side and hold your hand and tell you if you say anything, they're going to cause a scene, they crazy as hell. So crazy as hell, girl. You forgot the as hell part. So that chick, I feel like to some degree, she definitely responsible for the death of that dude because she already knew that dude was crazy. Sometimes we gotta be accountable. We gotta make better decisions for all of the people involved. When you got somebody crazy, there are crazy people out here who are not mentally stable. We have seen it on social media. I don't know how many times we didn't have people kill people or either start the process. I don't know if y'all remember that doctor that went and killed his wife and then went and killed his pregnant girlfriend.
Yep.
And did all of that on social media. And then there was
that's right. That was a colleague of a friend of mine. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
but here's the thing though. Well, here's to play devil's advocate, even in that situation, my girlfriend was like, Nicole, I worked with him in the OR every day. I had no idea he was crazy. Like that. She was shocked when this news broke. She was hurt. She was like, we were so cool. He just texted me the week before. She had no idea he was capable of this level of violence.
Well, your friend that worked in the ER with him may not have.
Yeah, my girlfriend is a surgeon, so he was one of like the surgery techs. And so
may not have known that, but the girlfriend.
Well, the
girlfriend knew.
Well, yeah. No, they knew because, like you said, she's not in a relationship with him, so she probably wouldn't have seen that side of him.
Right.
But one of my girlfriends today, we were talking about this case in the group, and she was just like, while yes, the side chick mistress does bear maybe some responsibility, why don't we just blame totally the crazy man that did this? Like, he is the one that did this. Yes. He is the one that decided to break and enter into the apartment. There were, the police said that it was clearly a breaking and entering. He was the one that snapped off to the point of murder. Maybe she knew he was crazy. Now, usually people that will punch you and fight you, they could be capable of killing you, but maybe you don't necessarily think they're going to take it that far. If they have not done it before, maybe you're thinking, okay, he hasn't threatened to kill me, so why would I think he's going to bust my door in and kill me? But a lot of times they do be threatening to kill you, though, these abusive people. So in her case, I just don't know what level of abuser he was, but clearly he was an abuser.
Now, I think people don't realize that actually all of us are only a head bump away from death anyway. So if somebody hits you
away from snapping.
If somebody hits you or pushes you and you slip and fall and hit your head the wrong way, that could be lights out for you. We're all just a head bump away. That's it.
That's so true. And you can just snap. I mean, one time I think I hit a guy. I never thought I would do that. But you never know when you will be pushed to an edge where you can't come back from.
But it's just like we're saying though, where she didn't know he was crazy and things like that. And I've never
she knew he was some level of crazy now. She knew something.
but so I've never been in an abusive relationship where somebody was, whooping on me or anything like that. I am definitely a fighter.
Me too.
But so I've never been in that, but I was in a relationship where I had a stalker, and that person would like, when we broke up, I had moved on and they hadn't. And I remember many times where it got to a point where if I went on a date, I did not have them drop me off at home, because there was a time when I did have someone drop me off at home, and this person walked up to the car and they had a gun, and then I did that the person that I was with had a gun under the seat. So it could have got really bad, right? Because he was like, so this who you want? And I'm like, what? And I remember thinking to myself, this was a conscious decision. I cannot live if somebody lost their life over me. Like I would have been probably gone too after that, because so I had to make a conscious decision that I had to wait a while, like before I really dated, because this person was a stalker, and this person had stalked me and came up on people many times, and to the point where they were like, and as you were saying, this is the crazy thing. I never thought they would hurt me, but I felt that they would hurt whomever I was with. So yeah, so as crazy as they were, looking back at it, it's funny when you look back and you're like, God, what's going on with me? Because but in my head, I really never thought he would hurt me. Because I used to talk crazy, everything. Like if he said something and I was like, I'm not with you, blah blah blah, I would talk crazy, because I'm like, you not gonna force me to be in a relationship. But he never showed any real aggression towards me, but let me be with another man or something like that. He was like, yep. And
he was very possessive.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, yep, I never thought he would hurt me, but I felt in my heart that he would take somebody else out. And so for that reason, I just was like this situation hits home, because a week later, that person could have lost their life, and it could have been me being this girl. So she had to know he had some kind of crazy. You get what I'm saying?
She had to have known. But then on the flip again, okay, so a crazy person never really stops being crazy. So then is it a thing where I can't live my life? I gotta be running behind bushes to date? Like what? I mean, I don't know what a person is supposed to do in those situations outside of move, because I personally can't imagine not ever being able to live my life because of this other person. Well, I guess you have to move, because otherwise, what is the solution? They don't stop being crazy.
They don't stop being possessive until they decide they want to move on. Like once they decide they want to move on, and you don't know. I mean, if I went further, I could tell you it went further, and stuff like that. But again, yeah. So you, just like X was saying, you got somebody who comes in and holds your hand in church and says, I act up. I had somebody come in the club and was like, yeah, I'm gonna act up, and we were on a wild, what's that chase, car chase. Like it's just crazy. So you don't know, but again, we have, when you know you and dealt with somebody and you don't know they crazy until you break up, because you don't always see that side of it until you break up with them, and either they're not used to somebody breaking up with
Yep.
them,
Mhm.
which was my case. They weren't used to the one, they were used to the one breaking up or doing some crazy or whatever. And I remember they got caught doing something, and I was like, oh, okay, because I can do better. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I moved on fairly quickly. I mean, I really did care about that person, like that person, but once you commit a certain as I call it, crime against me, then you already told me you don't want me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not that person to be like,
Right.
oh, well, it was just one. No, you told me you don't want me. Like, that's what you say to me. So that's what you said to me. And it's very easy at that point. I'm moving on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain things that make things much easier to move on from. And that's one of the things is once I think you don't want me, I'm not going to try to make you want me. That will not be my claim to fame. Me try to
So,
make you think.
so is it that the X is the side piece, or is the real root of this issue how quickly we move on?
Well, I
Mm,
think for this, people were saying she moved on so quickly. People were like, man, it was within a week. But as Nicole said too, she mentally probably had checked out a long time
Yep.
ago. Once he lost his job, once he jumped on her, once she may have been having to hold everything down for some while, taking care of the bills and stuff, because we don't know what the relationship was or whatever. But again, he was crazy. You had just kicked him out a week prior. You don't bring somebody in that situation. I just
they're saying move on. It's just sex. I mean, you can be emotionally tied to someone and be having sex with someone else. So, I mean,
I think
it's
that's
not
the
sex,
whole
it's
thing.
just sex.
That's the whole thing nowadays, because so you got people partially holding on to traditional thoughts and beliefs,
Right.
but yet you also have the world that we really live in now, where sex does not mean that there's any emotional attachment.
Yeah.
It doesn't
No, it does
mean.
not.
I had
So
somebody tell me that he don't even need to know the girl's name or ever see her face. Just bend over and
Yeah,
it just
you can put a
happen,
paper bag over her
and
head.
I don't need to see you no more. He don't need to even see
But
her
these
again.
are not new concepts. I've had old heads, OGs in the game tell me PUSSY has no face. This is not like new things. I mean,
Right.
maybe it's new in that we have social media now, people are talking about it, but men have always operated like this. Men have always treated women as sex objects. They have always never cared what she looked like, what her name was. That ain't nothing new.
But see, now we got women that are doing that, and that's
Well,
where the
they
problem
probably
comes
always
in.
did it too, but women not gonna put their business out there like the men do. But
I don't
yeah,
think women did it like we do it now.
not maybe not now because it wasn't as acceptable, but I
Right.
mean, these women were getting pregnant by the milkman in the
right, the
post,
mailman.
and this was back in the day. So
Exactly.
I think women have always been getting it in too. I don't think they've been very vocal about it.
Because there was a stigma for women. Women don't do this. Women don't do that.
But they
And
were totally doing it because who were the men back then doing it
that's
with?
what I'm
They were doing
saying.
it with the women.
It's the stigma. So back in the day, like you said, they were totally doing it. It's just the stigma where men didn't believe women did what men do, but they
Right.
were doing it,
Or maybe they didn't marry them, quote unquote. I don't know, back in the 30s or the 50s or the 1800s, maybe you're doing it with a prostitute versus, an executive in the office or whatever now. But women have always done these things, so that's nothing new. And I don't know what to say. I don't know that a woman, I don't know. If your ex is crazy, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know to tell you to put your life on pause indefinitely. I don't know what the answer is.
And
I
I
don't know.
would never tell somebody to put their life on pause. But what I will tell you is that just be very careful about bringing people into your mess,
And also, we have to be careful of who we're sleeping with, right? There's a
yeah.
responsibility to know who you're sleeping with, because no one told him he had to go to her house. I know men that are not going to women's house. They're like, no, we can go to hotel or you can come to my house. So I think the person wanting the sex also can bear some responsibility also. You didn't have to go over there. You don't, if you don't know her living situation, if
Mhm.
she has a man or a husband or a baby daddy, why do you, who told you you had to go over there?
Mhm.
They have hotels. So,
Mhm.
I mean, again, everybody can be responsible for themselves in these instances, in my opinion. It's not her responsible to protect your loins. You should be protecting your own self.
So the rapper dude was at her house.
He was at her house. If he's a rapper, you have money to go to a hotel. Why are you at her house? I know guys who be like, I don't want to go to the chick's house because I'm not familiar with that territory and I don't feel comfortable here.
I think that's the best way to be until you know her well, and because it may
And
just be
maybe
that
they
one
did,
time.
on the flip, we don't know. Maybe they did have some secret relationship all along.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe he had been creeping in and out of the house. I don't know. But again, that was a risk he was willing to take, probably knowing she did have a man around somewhere. So it's like, okay, at some point, how horny are we? I don't know. I think everybody can be responsible for themselves in these instances. I think it's an unfortunate situation that could have happened really to anyone. You never know when your crazy ex is circling the block, or, there's people that wait a month or 2 months or 3 months to strike. They wait until you have really thought they have moved on,
Yep.
and then they come back and hurt you.
Mhm.
So I don't know in this instance if her waiting would have even made a difference. I don't know.
That might be a topic that we explore, when we on one of the next shows. It is, should there be like a set amount of time that we do wait in between? Because I know, what the discussion is going to be, and it's going to be my question on one of the future shows, and maybe we can have some callers on that show, because we actually have a call-in number now.
Oh, yes,
And
that would be great. I can't
people can
wait.
actually call in. But I think we should discuss, is that old saying actually true? Do you get over one by getting under another? Does that actually work?
It's worked for me before. I can't speak for everybody else.
It's worked for you?
Not for every though. Well, no, like I've definitely had instances where I just couldn't even entertain nothing, nobody. It was just too heartbreaking. And then I had another instance. It was so heartbreaking. I met somebody else by accident on like a trip, and this guy really did wind up helping me get over the ex. He didn't know. I didn't tell him, that that's really all it was. We had a mutual understanding. But looking back, he really did help me. It really did help distract me from the loss of the ex. So for me, it has helped. I don't do it in every instance though, but in one instance, it really did help me.
We're gonna get some callers in. We're gonna have to set it up so they call in during when we doing this thing. And
I
yeah,
like
that'll
that.
be interesting for that. So what are your final words on this topic, Nicole?
I guess my final words would just be, if you're in and if I think her maybe number one mistake was, even though it probably wouldn't have mattered, if you're in an abusive relationship, please call the cops, get documentation on this person, get a restraining order. We know crazy people go through restraining orders though, so however, document it, because I think what happened was he hit her, she called 911, but because he left, she didn't press the charges. I say if a man puts their hands on you, press charges immediately, and you need to have a hedge of protection around you. Again, I don't know for how long, but you need to either move or just get in a better headspace, because you just never know. You never know which way people will snap.
Okay. Paige?
I agree with her. I just think with what I've been seeing so often now, I mean, men are killing their baby mamas,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Not even doing anything.
killing their wives.
Yes.
This 83-year-old man, 80, 89, 83-year-old man killed his wife, went downstairs, got the rifle, came
What?
upstairs, killed her because he said that she was getting on his nerves. She had been getting on his nerves for the last week. So left her in the house. She was in the house several weeks. He killed her in the bathroom. The whole thing. He killed her in the bathroom, and he continued to use the bathroom with her laying there dead.
What?
And the only reason he turned himself in because he knew, he said that if her son found out, that he didn't want her son, so I don't know if it was his son too, to go to jail, because he knew that if he found out, he would hurt him and do something to him. So he called and had the police come and turned himself in. But yeah, he killed it. So it's happening so often now. I do think people, men and women, have to really be very, very cognizant of who you're dealing with. If they show you red flags, if they jump on you, like, that is not how you have to live your life. And I don't understand the whole purpose when somebody jumps on somebody because they did something you don't like they're not your child. So I don't even understand how these men have relationships or call themselves in relationships with a woman that's supposed to be not your woman, not your child. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you jumping on her because she spoke up for herself. You jumping on her because she did some, she didn't come in when you said she's supposed to come in, and she was 5 minutes late, and she didn't, just, I mean, and I've seen such a rash since COVID that I almost feel, to a degree, COVID did something to society just in general. Like, there's this undertone of like maliciousness, evilness, and I can't even describe it, but just how quickly somebody would murder their parents, murder their family member, murder a spouse or a girlfriend. It's so much quicker. Not to say that it never happened before. It's just, or you walking on the street, you step on somebody's toe, or walking in the store, you bump into somebody and they come and they, excuse me, isn't enough. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it's I just say protect yourself, protect your and as you said, if you're a man or a woman and you don't know somebody and you don't really know their whole entire history, don't be walking up into somebody's house right away.
Right, right. So, I, like I said, I just think that I think we should take a little time. I don't know if that getting under to get over thing works. Nicole says it does, so maybe it does for some people. But
Right.
you do need to know the people that you're dealing with, and if you're dealing with someone crazy, be responsible and don't put anybody else in harm's way just because you want to get over that person. It getting over them will come in time, one way or another, but don't jeopardize anybody else's life. That's crazy. I didn't know that your question page, your topic was connected to somebody dying. That's like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
over the top to me, because
it,
Danny
it,
clearly
it,
was
it made me think about it because first I was going to talk about that, and then I was watching where they said about, is your ex Bala, and I'm like, man, this is like, is your ex somebody else's, because who was she, who was he,
Who was she and who was he? I feel like perhaps they may have known each other before this time.
Could have. That happens. All right. Well, we are wrapping up yet another segment. Oh, this girl talk thing is good. This is my favorite segment now. Uh-oh. And we are wrapping it up. We will be back next week with one more question. And this time, okay, I can't say it's not going to turn into a relationship topic because I don't know what's going on with Monique and DL Hughley,
Oh
but we're
my
going to talk
goodness.
about it next week. And we will see you then. Until then, later. Y'all can say bye to the people.
Oh, bye y'all. Later.